In our second writing unit, we'll be talking about sentence structure, identifying dependent versus independent clauses, and fixing issues like fragments and run-on sentences. So to begin with, it's important to know that dependent clauses by themselves are fragments. A fragment is an incomplete idea that cannot be its own sentence. So consider the distinction between these two examples. First, the sun came out. We'd have a subject and a verb, and this expresses a complete idea, and thus is a full sentence. We can compare this to after the sun came out. The addition of the word after here makes this a fragment. Therefore, this cannot stand on its own as a sentence. Number 1, to understand the origins of human behavior, the psychologists decided to examine how non-human primates behave in a behavioral task. In this example, we have a dependent clause followed by an independent clause, starting with the psychologist. We should add a comma between the dependent and the independent clause, and we should select answer choice C, which does so. Number 2, while it is important to consider alternative explanations, it is often time-consuming and tedious. Again, here we have a dependent clause followed by an independent clause. We should combine those with a comma rather than creating two separate sentences with a period in between. And number 3, in A Tale of Extraordinary Events, Rembrandt's painting, The Storm on the Sea of Galilee, was stolen from the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum in Boston, Massachusetts. In this example, we need to have both a subject and a predicate in order to have a full sentence, which is not the case in this second clause beginning with the word was here. There's no subject in that sentence, therefore we should combine the two as in choice D. Number 4, although Venice is known for its bridges, Hamburg, with more than 2,500 bridges, actually has more. Here we have a dependent clause, although Venice is known for its bridges, and then we have an independent clause after that, starting with Hamburg. Therefore, we should combine the two with a comma with choice D. Another instance where we might notice fragments is if we have a present participle in ing form of a verb used as a verb in the sentence. We can't have a subject followed by the present participle form. That does not create a full sentence. Number 5, the experience of drinking sweet tea was much better than drinking regular tea. Considering the sweet tea reminded me of my childhood. Here, the second phrase is not a full sentence because we begin with this present participle form of the verb. Therefore, we should choose D, which combines the two. Another problem we might notice is run-on sentences. Omitting necessary commas and conjunctions can create run-on sentences. Number 6, some of the turquoise tunnels open to expansive grottos, others open to beautiful tributaries. Here we need a semicolon to separate the two independent clauses, the first going up to grottos, and the second beginning with others. Those are two independent clauses because they could stand alone as sentences. Choice C combines them with a semicolon. Number 7, in certain places on the mountain, a river ran in between two rocks and generating waterfalls that now offer endless tourist opportunities for visitors. In this example, we have a dependent clause beginning with generating waterfalls that ends at the end of the sentence. This is also non-essential information, and so we can add a comma before the word generating and close that non-essential information with a period rather than another comma. Choice C correctly bookends that non-essential information. Number 8, when playing tennis, you need to think deeply about 3 different facets of the game. You, your opponent, and luck, which is sometimes on your side, sometimes your adversary. Here we have a list of 2 qualities, which we would separate with a comma. Another important thing to keep in mind is a comma splice. So this is an error caused by joining 2 incomplete ideas or 2 independent clauses with just a comma. There are a few different ways we can fix this error. We can use the comma and add a conjunction, one of the fanboys words. We can replace the comma with a semicolon to join the 2 independent clauses. We could add a period and create 2 full sentences. Or we can make one of the independent clauses a dependent clause. Number 9, zebras and horses are both species of equine. Zebras differ from horses in their coloration and size. Zebras have stripes and are considerably slower than horses. In this example, we have an independent clause that ends with the word equine, and then another independent clause beginning with the word zebras here. Therefore, we cannot join those with just a comma. We can create two separate sentences as in choice D. Number 10. Last year, my work ran an exchange program for international employees. Those people traveled many hours to join the company. This is another example of a comma splice because we have two independent clauses joined together with just a comma here. One way we can fix this is by changing one of those independent clauses, the most recent one, beginning with those people, to a dependent clause. Adding in the word who here fixes that problem, so we can choose C. Number 11. More sophisticated algorithms will likely improve the flying infrastructure, but the pilot is still essential to intervening in cases where abnormal emergencies arise. In this case, we are joining two independent clauses with a comma and a conjunction, the word but. Therefore, we don't need to make any changes. And number 12. Cheers and fanfare welcomed the team. Many of them were completely in shock of how thrilled the fans were in response to the win. Because we are following up with the word them, we need to change that to either who or whom. We know it should be whom because whom is an object, while who is a subject. We'll cover that in the next class, but for now, the answer choice here is B. Finally, we'll review end punctuation. We should only end with a question mark if there's a question asked. Otherwise, typically we'll be ending with a period if it's simply a statement. Number 13. I could not discern whether she was happy with the outcome or merely satisfied. It's possible that she did not actually care about the assignment. This first sentence in this question is not a question. Therefore, we should not be ending it with a question mark. We'll choose B, which replaces that with a period. Number 14. I'm not sure whether I will make it home in time. Should I call a taxi? Alexander asked his friend. In this question, we have a complete idea ending in the word time here, but not a question. Therefore, we should replace that with a period rather than a comma. Number 15. Did you know that there are two stages of the interview process? In the first, the potential employee will meet with the recruiter for an informal discussion. In the second, the potential employee will give a presentation on his or her research. So in this case, the first sentence of this question actually is a question. Therefore, we should change that exclamation mark to a question mark. Number 16. Perhaps you have already thought about this, but Atlanta is the most heavily forested city in the United States. This is not a question, and we need to include end punctuation here, so we should replace that question mark with a period. There are some instances, of course, where we need to include other types of punctuation other than a period. We should use context clues from that sentence to determine what is the appropriate form of punctuation. Number 17. The doctor allayed my deep fears about the disease by explaining how most people who experience swollen lymph nodes do not have any underlying health issues. This sentence does need end punctuation, but it does not warrant an exclamation point, which we can tell from the larger context. Therefore, we should end this sentence with a period. Number 18. Can you imagine how amazing it would be if they actually won a game? Thomas asked his friend enthusiastically. In this example, we do need a question mark, even though there are quotes here, because the character of Thomas is asking his friend a question. Therefore, we should choose C. Now let's review the extra problems for this unit. Number 1, students who land positions in consulting tend to have experience with a wide variety of statistical techniques, including machine learning, qualitative research, and one-on-one interviewing. In this example, there is not non-essential information in the underlined phrase, therefore we should not make any changes or add in any commas. Questions 2 and 3 here refer to the same sentence. A group of aspiring bakers eagerly waited as the Italian chef demonstrates how to make several handcrafted sugary treats from only 3 ingredients. The chef creates dozens of delicious vegan cookies. For number 2, we need to correctly identify the verb tense because demonstrates is present tense. Wait should also be in the present tense. We'll change that to D. For number 3, we need to identify here that these are 2 independent clauses. Therefore, we should replace the comma after traits with the period and start a new sentence. Number 4, more and more students are choosing to go to trade schools, seeking affordable tuition, practical courses, and hands-on experience rather than degrees from liberal arts universities. In this case, in order to have a semicolon before the word seeking, we need to change that clause to an independent clause. Choice D does that by adding in the subject they. And number 5, it should be him with whom you talk to about your financial issues, not me. Here, no change is necessary, so we'll choose A.